Right, well, here we are. We're up to doing our last bit of Sculpta Mould here, and it's working out very well. I do like the Sculpta Mould rather than the plaster, especially for the concrete look, but if you're going to do a stone look inside, which I will be looking into doing that shortly, plaster would be the go, I think. But for concrete, definitely Sculpta Mould. So we'll do this last little bit here, and we are done, then we're ready for painting. So let's get into that. Right, now they say mix this Sculpta Mould up to cottage cheese. I don't eat friggin' cottage cheese, so I don't know what it's like. But anyway, so it doesn't fall off your finger apparently, which is about right. So just, you sort of got to shake it a little bit to fall off your finger. So what I'm going to do is apply it to the bottom first. I've already wet the plaster a little bit, so it sticks a bit. Now I've gone up to a bigger spoon, gone up to a dessert spoon, because I'm going to work into the camera here, because it does a nicer, it's a nicer radius. The old teaspoon was a little bit too sharp on the old radius, so we'll just push it down there. And this does a nice nice curve. And then I sort of get, when it starts to go like that, you know you've got to put some more water on it. Just drag it back there. So sort of when I'm happy with that, then I can start doing the sides. And the sides, well, you know what we're using for this. Yes sirree, Bob, the old wet finger. And I'm just got to cover that little lip up on the edge there. And we'll come back and we'll fix all that. So I'll keep rocking on with this, and we'll come back when I'm closer to being happy with what's going down, man. So this last little bit here, I've found it's a bit finicky. Just dragging that off like that. So that's not too bad. You have to know when to say enough's enough, because if you keep working it, you keep going back, and you end up starting to make more mistakes then. And remember, we're going for a shotcrete look. So shotcrete is concrete that's sprayed on a surface, so it's pretty rough. Just trying to get that straight edge there. Okay, so the old wet finger comes into play here again. I can feel a couple of areas there. I'm nearly out of Sculpta Mould. Gee, I've done a good job on this, where I haven't quite covered the plaster cloth. A little bit there. Nice. And you can put a a grain in it too, depending on which way you think they may have done the concrete. But that's looking pretty good. For the tunnel portals, I've covered some ply formwork with some plaster and scribing some lines in with a sharp screwdriver. To colour the portals, I'm using some grey wash, a dark grey wash, watered down quite a lot, and painting it in the direction so the paint falls into the grooves there, so you get that grout line. But I'll be going back with that anyway with some powders to weather it a bit better. And if you let some of the white shine through from the plaster, it actually looks better than getting them all grey, and then you can go through and weather them a bit darker with some powders. The painted portals are then glued on to the end of the tunnel framework with a hot glue gun, and then some more Sculpt It is used to infill between the portal and the tunnel lining. This short straight tunnel was actually quite a bit taller than the portal, so I have to use a bit more Sculpt It to blend the two together. And of course, don't forget the old wet finger to make it nice and smooth and blend the original Sculpt It into the new work. Okay, using a dark grey wash, really watered down quite a lot here, and I'm just sort of doing a random patchwork around, and you can see I've plastered up to the end of the tunnel portals here now, and these portals are a little bit smaller than the tunnel, which is what would normally be. So normally they would cast the tunnel, cast the portal, and then start excavating inside a bit wider, because you never know how the rocks are going to be and the concrete and all that sort of thing. So just doing a rough bit there, and you can see where I've done one coat, and I'm trying to leave it light as possible, because remember, they don't make tunnels black, they make them grey, concrete colour. They're only black because of the absence of light. And of course the roof gets a bit sooty from the exhaust, but you know, tunnels are actually grey inside. And also, let's do a little bit around here. And like you can see, the concrete, what do you call it, formwork or whatever, concrete there finishes, and then as soon as you get inside the tunnel, you get the rough concrete look. And it actually has turned out pretty darn good. Now, this is my new tunnel portal for the curved tunnel, and I've yet to decide how I'm going to do this, whether it will be concrete or whether it will be you know, stone or whatever. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But what I will be doing, I'll be painting this, and then when the tunnel portal is done, it will be married up to the tunnel like that, and then we'll just put some, carry on with the Sculpta Mould through here and marry it up like you did with the straight one. But in the meantime, before we do that, we will paint the lining of paint the rest of the lining. As you can see, it's pretty haphazard. The more haphazard the better, really. And I'll just go up to there. It's got to be careful. Well, actually, the paint drips down to the center, which isn't such a bad idea, because the roof of the tunnel is going to be darker, isn't it, with the exhaust and stuff. But I'm really happy how well, you might not see it that good on the video, but get the bloody paint thing out the way. This really does look like shotcrete. I have walked through many tunnels at work, and a lot of them are done in shotcrete. And one thing with shotcrete, you don't want to rub up against it, because it's like, you know, sandpaper on a steroid scale. It'll rip you to pieces. But it is very strong. So we'll just do that. And then once I've painted this, what I'm going to do is put it on the layout, and we will run a camera car through it and see what it looks like, because I don't know what I'm going to do with the portals yet. The portals are going to be a work in progress over the next couple of weeks. So we'll get this finished, and we'll get it up on the layout. Right, well, there we have it. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? That's pretty realistic, seeing a train go through that tunnel. But now I understand lots of people have said, a few people have said, how are you going to get a train out if it derails in there? Well, we all know we don't have derailments on the Birdwood sub. And I can reach nearly all halfway from both ends, but it was purely an experiment to see how it would look and whether it would work, and whether I leave it where it is or chop it in half or whatever, who knows. But it was more of an experiment to make my tunnel lining for the passing loop we've installed, part of that series, and that would be a double track one. So that one, you could make a double track one that long easy, and you could reach in, 500 mil from each end and get something out if you really had to. But that one was just an experiment, bit of fun. But anyway, this is the short one, and also an experiment was the way I did the block work. And I've looked at hundreds of tunnel portals. They're all different. Everyone's different, and some actually do look like this, where they've used concrete blocks. Others have just flat concrete. So I don't know. I would like to do more of a keystone one around, and also possibly I would like to do a timber formed work one, where they use small 6-8 inch whatever formwork timber and form it up like that. But anyway, it's all right for a first attempt. So anyway, that's it for part 3 of the tunnels. So next one we'll be making the tunnel portals and the tunnel for the passing loop. So that's coming up on the passing loop series. So anyway, thanks for watching the tunnel portal. Thanks Cam, Railfan 220 Cam, for inspiring me to do this, and we'll see you on the next video. So, thanks for watching. Bye for now.